that in looking at the bureaucracy for implementing education policy at the federal, state, and local government, let's call it that level, what have been the challenges of organizing, of structure to ensure effectiveness in delivering uh, quality education with increased access to everybody at all of those levels? What are the, from your experience, what are the challenges?
Uh, Prof- Professor Tommy, do you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah, but maybe a little louder. I can hear you.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you. Yeah.
Okay. You know, we've been talking about what happened to education.
Mm.
I'm going to look at it slightly differently, historically,
Okay.
in the sense that two major things happened to education and all other things we'll be talking about today. The advent of the adventurism of the military government
Military.
in Nigeria,
Yes.
military government
Mm.
in Nigeria had a very big role to educational development in this country. Secondly, that's external. The others will be internal factors. Look at the kind of thing that happened during the military rule. They came in, they saw education as a means of gaining legitimacy
Legitimacy. Yeah.
because they worked on the sentiments of Nigerians wanting to get their children educated as a means of social ladder
Mobility.
climbing, mobility.
Yes.
So the first thing they did, it happens that the first National Universal Primary Education Program, UPE, I happened to be the advisor to General Gowon in the ministry on this program. The army wanted to give free education access to every child based on what they said was imbalances
Yes.
between the states in enrollment of education at that level. So all policies made became concentrated centrally with a firm grip of the army command structure. So everything has to be done from the center. So by their whims and caprices, they're standing expanding teachers training colleges, taking teachers overseas, everything just to implement the UPE. At the same time, this big national project is going on. The military started creating states. They created 12 states from the regions during the war. As the UPE, before it had a momentum, 7 more states were created, making it 19 states. At the same time, education is expanding at all levels. They took over former regional universities and building new ones. While the Federal Ministry of Education, who's supposed to control and manage education at the federal level, did not have any department of planning. What they had was a section called statistical unit. The department did not come into place until 1965. Then, tell me the kind of planning that is happening in the states, the new states being created, new local governments being created, and all whatever is happening, they are concentrated at the center. So that's a major blow in education. And that has not changed. They brought certain bad political policies, the quota system, the uniformity, they construed to mean unity of the country. So everything education was done, they say, for unity, integration of the nation. While they are saying this, those policies are creating more and more inequality in the system. The states were borrowing.
In what ways can you elaborate on that? In what ways did they create more inequalities?
Why it created inequalities? How can you, prior to Abe coming, children got their places in various secondary schools, whether it's voluntary agency, mission schools, public schools, or government schools, or the famous elderly colonial colleges like King's College, by merit. So they wanted, because of, like you said, imbalances in enrollment in all the students. And government believed that if children are reared together in the same environment, coming from every part of Nigeria, they are more likely to create an esprit de corps of old boys, a particular school, or old girls. You cannot thwart that philosophy. It's just like the American philosophy of what you call it, trying to give some advantage to disadvantaged individuals in the community so that they belong. The first set of quota system were brought into King's College. Majority of them came from Capital Secondary School in Kaduna. They may not have scored as high as those from the South, but they scored enough to show their potentialities and put on the right environment, they'll flower. But what is happening today? A child from a part of Nigeria will have 2%. He was allocated to King's College. So this came from the fact that they misinterpreted the difference between going to school and being educated. They mistook the difference between representing a child in a school into representing a state, forgetting that every child has his own potentialities different from any other child. And the kind of industrial-based school system we have is, what do you call it, is like all children are brought together, a conveyor belt in industry, with the assumption that the children came empty, and we have to pour knowledge into them, digested knowledge, information that sometimes have of no interest to the child and has no relevance to the life of the child outside the school. They can't understand, they memorize rote memory. And these schools are so prescriptive that every child is believed to go at the same pace, cover the same subjects, irrespective of the interest, and teachers must cover curriculum rather than allow children to discover their interests. Tell me the advantage of a child who started at a poorer level of performance with those who are above average. The teacher is talk chalk. Children are passive, they don't ask questions. The teacher keeps a pace, and the pace is supposed to carry every child along. What does he do? He places emphasis on those average or above average students. The child that is a bit slow will be left behind. And when these children you bring because you want them to represent a state, without taking their own character and ability into place. When they drop out, nobody tells us. So this is a very thing. It's a good policy. I encourage people, but you cannot be ridiculous about it. A boy scores 2, the other man scores 150, and they be in the same class. He will not start to even understand the language of instruction. And the school system, if they were to go that way, the school system must have contained supportive elements for such children to give them remedial studies within the state so that they can carry on. But it's all bad politics. So this is what I'm saying. So all the things we've been talking, do you know, if you think back, we are more interested in expansion and building structures, because through building structures, some people have money in their pockets. I heard the minister say they've spent over $1 trillion with ASU in how many years? Pat asked the question, what has been the outcome? Has anything changed? I use the word of my sage, Bayo. We have been spending a lot of money in education, but we are not investing in real education. The next point I want to make about planning, who, of all the things we've discussed today, who has discussed the child, the learner? We increase schools, we've done this. Where is the place of the learner there? That is why I say there's a misinterpretation of the relationship between a school and education. The learner is a central picture. Until we start looking at the learners, it doesn't matter the amount of billions we spend on education, we're not going to get anywhere. You want to interject?
Thank you so very much. Well, you took those words out of my mind, because I was going to turn to the learner in the next question I was going to ask, going to Professor Pai Obanya.